right, so just before we jump back in, this will be at the top of the episode, but I did want to bring up the fact that we do realize this is Black History Month, and we are not talking about it on this episode, but we may in a future episode. But I wanted to make sure that we did highlight that we realize that it is Black History Month, and there's 3 whole episodes that we had last year where we did cover specifically information about Black History Month, and we had our very first amazing guest, Jiraiya from Two Hungry Bitches, on the episode. So I wanted to make sure we pop in before the beginning of this episode and highlight that Black History Month is in the entire month of February. And this year it gets 1 extra day because it's a leap year. Even though we're not talking about it this episode specifically, Black History Month, we may in the next couple of episodes, but we also did cover it last year. So I will include the link to the previous episodes where we did Black History Month in the description this week.
Nice. Love
that was all I wanted.
Perfect.
So I wanted to make sure we popped this in there at the front of the episode, and then completely forgot it while we did the editing. So this will be very different from the actual content that we're covering today.
Yes, it will be. Very different.
That was all I wanted. Thank you for jumping back on.
No problem.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Now About That with James and Sarah. I'm James.
And I'm Sarah.
And on this week's episode, it's gonna kind of just go wherever it goes. I pulled a few things to look at that are like trend related for 2024. I figured we could look at those and talk about some of the trends. And then one thing that I want to talk about is this thing called caviar bumps. Have you heard of this?
No.
I guess it's a new food trend in 2024 where you take a spoonful of caviar, put it in between, they call it the gooch of your hand. So the skin that's between your thumb and index finger, let it warm up for like a few seconds and then just kind of eat it.
Okay.
And it's supposed to be a really good way to taste the natural flavor of caviar. I don't know that I will ever try that because I don't know that I'm a huge fan of caviar except for on top of sushi.
Right. Like I don't
caviar by itself, I don't know that I would ever want to do. And I've never actually tasted it on crostini or anything like that. It's always just been on sushi.
Right. And is that even the same thing? Is roe the same as caviar?
Yes, roe is, they're both fish eggs.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just from it's salmon roe, so it's from salmon, and caviar is typically from, I want to say beluga. That's not right. That's a whale.
That's a whale. Whales. I love whales.
Caviar is is a delicacy made up from the roe of a fish, so it is just roe.
Okay.
While the fish eggs are roe, only sturgeon roe can be considered caviar. Okay, it's sturgeon.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
There you go. So only sturgeon.
Okay. So only sturgeon contributes to caviar. Got it. I'm just okay.
It's not the most appealing thing especially if you don't like I wouldn't even say it's super fishy. It's more like it's very salty.
Very salty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what Ryan and I were watching Good Mythical Morning, and they were talking about how it's like it's like you drank ocean water, basically what happens. It's like, who would want to do that though?
That's fair. I feel like on its own, caviar is not something I would enjoy.
Yeah.
On something as part of a dish, where the flavor would be balanced, that would probably be different. But
right.
I'm gonna be honest. How often in my life am I going to eat actual caviar?
Yeah. It kind of goes back. This kind of goes back to the conversation we had with Chicago's Pizza, where you basically said you're never going to eat Chicago's Pizza unless you're in Chicago. Yeah. And how often have you gone to Chicago?
Yeah, exactly. Guess I'm just not doing the thing.
Yeah. So before we jump into anything else, is there anything you wanted to talk about? How's your week going?
Work has been, getting there, doing the thing, struggling, but doing the thing. I failed my Korean test.
Era.
Yep.
Isn't this like the second time you failed a Korean test? No, the last one I think we talked about, it wasn't Korean. It was
It was my art history
art
test.
history. Yeah.
Yes, last semester that I just absolutely flunked. But this test was worse because I'm usually really good at the translation aspects of being able to tell you like what the words are. And for some reason this time my brain was just like, no, we don't remember anything. So I maybe got one question correct out of 10. I only answered 2 because the rest were all blank because my brain absolutely would not do it.
Yeah.
I have no idea what these words are. So that was awful. That was pretty awful. But like other than that, I'm just vibing at this point.
Just vibing. Well, I mean, do you have to work tomorrow? Or are you home for the rest of the weekend?
No, I have to work tomorrow. I'm actually about to work 20-ish hours over the next 2 days.
Oh.
So it's gonna be very exciting. My weekend person who doesn't work many weekends, she quit, and then she put in her notice, and then I got a text message earlier saying, hey, I know that tomorrow's supposed to be my last day, but today's actually my last day because my primary job needs me to do something tomorrow. So peace.
Well, that's nice.
I was like, well, that's exciting. So originally I wasn't going to have to go to work until noon. But now I have to go in and open. So I will be there from 9 o'clock to about 6:15. And then Monday, I'm going to be at work from about 8 o'clock until about 7:15.
Yikes.
Yeah.
You did say something in our group chat about in 11 days, it'll be a year since you were diagnosed with cancer.
It's true. It's crazy.
It's crazy how fast time is going right now. Like,
right?
It doesn't seem like it's the second month of 2024 yet. And we're already 3 days in.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. But yeah, I randomly thought about that earlier and I was just like, oh my God, which means that in June it'll be, well, technically I found out in August that I was cancer free, but June is when I had my surgery. So,
yeah.
So yeah, in June it'll be a year. And then also in June it'll be 5 years that I've lived here in Texas.
Oh yeah. In March it would have been 5 years that we moved to California. And then in October, it will be 3 years that we've lived out here.
Wild.
It is wild. It's insane.
I
do not feel like I've lived out here for 3 years because like we've literally done nothing. We are planning on tomorrow going out to the Cape. So out to Cape Cod and getting some food out there and then just kind of going around the area. I did tell Ryan, I was like, we'll probably not be able to take my car because I would have to charge. I mean, it would be fine. Like we would have to go out there, go do some stuff and then charge before we came back. And then I would have to charge whenever we got home too. So I mean, that aspect of it sucks. So we're just going to take his car that way. We don't have to worry about it.
There you go.
Which is fine. I mean, that's the good thing about having 2 different cars. I also had an interesting interaction earlier. So I am getting more active on LinkedIn and this guy reached out and he was like, hey, do you want to chat? I was like, sure. I don't really know what we're going to talk about, but sure. His name is Alan Raceman. He's really nice. And I'm sure I'm probably saying his last name wrong. But he put me into contact with a couple of other, he asked if I was interested in joining some LGBT conversation groups, networking groups. So he sent me some of that information, and there are some weekly or monthly meetings that they have over Zoom where everybody comes together and just kind of talks, and some of them promote like their TikTok and stuff, and some of them promote like I'll probably be promoting the podcast. So we'll see.
Nice. That'd be cool.
That was fun. I plugged the podcast with him and shared some of our stuff. He followed me on Instagram. And the other thing is there is a company or organization called Lit Arts Rhode Island that is a nonprofit. Formerly, it used to be called Watcheer Writers Club. Don't really know what that is. But they're doing an event that's called like a listening event, podcast listening party. So I sent you the link to it. I think I'm going to. You have to submit it, and then you basically go there, and they will listen to it, and then like provide feedback and stuff. I'm assuming. And then there is a potential for a small stipend. I don't know. Oh, that does bring us up to the last thing. We officially made our first couple of dollars from the podcast.
Yeah, we did.
So thank you, whoever, if you listen or if you just followed the link, that's cool too. Thank you to it. So there were three purchases, but two of them were like actually like gave us money, we were able to get money from them. Wasn't anything crazy. We got like $34, which isn't bad, but I mean, it's exciting. We made some money over the 2 years that we've been doing this going on. This will be our third year starting in April, year 3.
Oh my God. We really have been doing this for a while.
Yeah. We started April 2022. That's when our first episode was released.
Right. Wow. Sorry, just getting hit with like all of the feels about how fast time is going.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is.
Well, do you want to jump into some of these trends that I sent over?
Sure.
So the first group of trends we're going to look at is kind of like a combination of some trends. So I figured we could like take a look at them, and we don't need to read like the statements, but the first grouping is from the New York Times. And the very first one on the list says jocks are cool again. I don't know that I agree, but I think the conversation that they're bringing in is how it's heavily influenced by Taylor Swift and her interaction with Travis Kelce or whatever his name is. And it's bringing a lot more interest in the younger females area, which makes a little bit more sense. But I mean, to me, I don't really think there's ever been a time when jocks were a marginalized group of people.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
So it doesn't really seem like something that goes in and out of trend.
Yeah,
it's just like something that is for some odd reason, because that's the way a lot of people make a lot of money, like businesses and people that actually are athletes. They make a lot of money sometimes.
One moment. I don't know what has happened here, but I cannot get my computer to agree with me.
I was having not a similar issue, but for some reason on my phone, when I Google anything using Safari, it takes me to this one screen where I have to like do that like CAPTCHA, whatever thing is, where it shows you the pictures and you have to like pick the phone or pick the car pictures that have a car. I don't understand why it's doing that. And also it's like choose the pictures that have a traffic light in them. And it's like, well, this one, part of the traffic light is in it. So do I choose it? And if I don't choose it, sometimes it tells me I'm wrong. If I do choose it, sometimes it tells me I'm wrong. Those are the worst.
Yeah. It's true. I don't know what is happening, but this New York Times article you sent me will not let me see it.
It's weird.
It keeps saying that I have to sign in to be able to see it.
That's strange. I mean, I guess I could share my screen and we could look at it together.
I mean, we could do that. Let me close those things real quick. All right. So, what will life be like in 2024? Oh my. All right. Well, everything's coming up rosettes. We hit peak bow last year. Now rosettes are ascendant. More are appearing on items by Sandy Liang, the designer whose girlish aesthetic is part made bows in part made bows so prevalent. Oh my God, why can I not read? The red rosette is being pushed as an accessory for the lapel and as a whimsical choker by the fashion blogger Leandra Medine Cohen. And Rosette, a newish clothing label in New York, is dedicated entirely to the soft rose-like design. You know what? I personally love rosettes, so I'm not upset about this. I think rosettes are lovely.
I think it depends. If it's like the picture that's on this website, which I will put in the description of the podcast, I think it's can be sometimes a little gaudy or childish.
I think we all need a little bit of childishness in our lives.
Okay, I mean, that's fine, and I kind of agree with that to a certain extent. Sometimes when it's so childish it looks ugly, then it kind of, to me, I think it looks stupid, but I'm not a huge fan of adornment on your clothes. I like clean lines and nothing on my clothes. That's what I want, but that's just me. I understand that people enjoy that, and that's your personal opinion. That's why fashion is what fashion is. You can do whatever you want with it.
That's true.
And then the next topic says aging out of social media. So it's talking a little bit about Gen X and older millennials who grew up without the internet, and they're kind of they're seeming more to kind of cut ties with social media, and they're starting to abandon it because they want to kind of have like that real life or actually interact without having to get online and worry about what's going on. And I kind of can see this. I'm not super active on social media, as in like presenting myself on social media. And we've talked about it before, I'm more of like a voyeur where I like to see things happening, especially TikTok.
Right.
And I'm more of a TikTok watch and listen, but Instagram Reels watch. I don't have the sound on when I'm watching Instagram Reels for some reason.
You know what? That's super fair because #same. I think that's definitely a smart bet like to make for 2024, because I have also noticed it myself in that I have started pulling away from social media
Yeah.
a lot. I like only just recently posted stuff on my Instagram. I haven't been posting on Instagram for a while.
Yeah, I don't remember the last thing I posted, unless, well, no, that's not true. The last thing I posted was just last weekend, when we went to Great Northern Barbecue. I posted our brunch food and then our drinks. So, I mean, that stuff is mainly what I post in the last several months until we get back to a little over a week after Bobo was gone.
Right.
Like, I don't take selfies anymore, and I haven't for a long time. I don't feel the need to. Like, it's not something that's enticing to me.
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong, I still use my phone a lot, mostly to talk with, my friends and my, the people that I work with, that kind of stuff. And I do still watch videos, but most of the time I'm just listening to stuff on YouTube.
Yeah.
And like doing something else.
A YouTube premium account, it gets the workout in this house too.
Yes, absolutely. Like, I love my YouTube premium. That's one of the only things that I will not give up. I will not give up my YouTube premium. Like, I'll give up everything else premium, not YouTube.
I was looking at the stats for how often I use it, and it said over 460,000 hours. Or no, 460 hours, not 1,000. 460 hours, because Ryan and I, that's pretty much all we do when we're at home. If we're watching something, it's probably on YouTube on the TV. And then over 90 hours of listening, like, to YouTube music, because I listen to it in the car. When Bobo was here alone, I would play the music on YouTube Music for him so he could have something that would kind of dampen any sounds that may have happened that would annoy him.
Right.
So it does get a workout, and I like that. And now they have movies that you can watch on it too, and they're
Yes,
not
they
like
do, which is great.
like I think it was The Devil Wears Prada. I just watched The Devil Wears Prada. I think it was either on YouTube or it may have been on Max actually. But there's right now, if you go on there, you can search for, there's a whole movie section, and there's even this isn't an ad for YouTube Premium, although if Google wants to slide into our DMs,
I mean, yes.
make it rain, baby, make it rain. But like even Mean Girls was on there, like the original Mean Girls from
Yeah.
the early 2000s.
No, I was just on YouTube Movies, and they have Phantom of the Opera right now for free. Like, for free.
There's a lot of really good free movies.
There's a lot of really good free movies. There's a couple that are really funny and weird, and like obviously they're free for a reason. You get what you paid for. But like there's actually a pretty decent selection of movies on there. And there's a few that I've rented movies, and the rental qualities are really good too.
No. All right, you want to move on to the next one?
Sure. Fancy glassware sheds a stigma. Not even drinking glasses have been immune to discussions about gender identity, but a bartender-led push to abandon outmoded ideas about the gender of cocktail glasses is afoot. Might it mean that men who have had a death grip on their rocks glass since college will start opting for the refined Nick and Nora glass more often? A Nick and Nora communicates a sense of occasion. It's narrower than a coupe and wider than a flute, and it has an eye-catching silhouette. Think of an upturned bell that can make everyone feel like the belle of the bar. I love that they're called Nick and Nora glasses because Nick and Nora Charles are my favorite detectives in like any detective situation. It's really old movies, really old, the 1930s. And they star William Powell and, oh my God, what is her name? I can see her face in my head. Wait, I'm gonna kick myself as soon as I get it pulled up and I see her name. Myrna Loy, God bless. Oh yeah, Nick and Nora detectives. See, Nick and Nora Charles. They're a married couple who solve murder mysteries while exchanging, witty repartee. It really the Thin Man movies were kind of integral to who I am as a person now. A lot of the jokes I make are based in old movies because I'm old. And James is nodding his head. He's just like, yes, this is absolutely true.
You are old. Yes, that's true.
But the other thing too is that it was one of the first older movies that I saw that showed a woman as being, equal to her husband. Like, he didn't prevent her from doing things with him because he didn't think that she was smart enough. He would try to prevent her sometimes because he was worried that she would get hurt. But like, he never treated her like she wasn't as smart as he was.
So kind of like the opposite of I Love Lucy.
Yeah, it was a great set of movies. And there's a dog named Asta in it, and he also gets into trouble sometimes. And I don't know, I just love the Thin Man movies. Anyway, so the glass is named after Nick and Nora Charles because that was one of their things, was they would exchange, like, he was always making her a drink or she was making him a drink while they were, pondering out the mystery and figuring things out. And so those are the kinds of glasses that they would use.
Yeah. And I mean, the trend basically is saying ditch the gender stereotype of only men can drink out of a straight-sided rock glass.
Exactly.
Which I think makes sense because there are certain things that the drink just tastes better in, like a Nick and Nora glass like this, or a coupe, or like any type of, like, if you're drinking champagne, it should be from a flute more than likely, or red wine should be from a pretty wide bottomed glass because it develops the flavor better. there are some things that are better in a rocks glass, like just a regular scotch or a whiskey on the rocks should be in a rocks glass, because that's what that glass is designed for.
Right.
They're delicious. Anything else before we move on to the next one?
No.
So the next one is one that I really don't care about, because it's about elementary school children, and it says smartwatches enter elementary school. So kind of like when we were younger, Sarah, cell phones were kind of, it was probably more at high school than for us than anything.
Yeah.
Everybody was starting to get a cell phone while we were in high school, but now it's like kids start getting cell phones when they're like not two, that's too young, when they're like 8, 10, so that it keeps them busy. And the trend basically is saying to expect to see more devices on the wrists of elementary school students. And I think, I mean, it's a good and bad type of thing. It's good because it's an easy way for parents to see where their children are, and then to send them, without giving them a cell phone that they can actually get on the internet and stuff on. An Apple Watch you can give to your child and like send them a text message to their Apple Watch, without them having the ability to like get on the internet and search things and like
right. They can
people.
respond back.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's better than introducing a smartphone to your child.
I would think so as well, since like you said, it's not internet access. It's a calculator, it's your watch, and like you can send and receive texts.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something crazy. Like,
yeah,
instead of having, and they're already banning them, and I could understand it could be disruptions in class, and that's not okay. But for an easy way to be able to contact your child without giving them a smartphone or a phone, it's and then you could also, like, there are health benefits to it where you could like track if your kid is not sleeping well, you could track their sleeping habits, and you could like check in on them. There is that place where is it getting a little too invasive for some parents? I think there is that opportunity, but I don't think it's that big. Like, it makes more sense, like I said, to do this than to give them a smartphone.
Right. No, I think I would tend to agree with that idea. Though I do also have the idea of like just giving kids like a flip phone, like what we started off with. I started off with.
My Sony Ericsson phone, I could get on the internet.
No, the little flip phone I had, I couldn't access the internet.
Like the black and white screen phones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I remember those where there was very little access, but the Sony Ericsson one I had, it did have an option to have an internet, like a mobile internet browser. There was very little like functionality with it, and it was very crappy, but you could get on the internet.
Let me derail the conversation for just a moment.
No.
Yeah. I have a question for you. Okay. At what age did you discover pornography?
At what age?
Yes. Like being able to like cruise the internet and whatnot, as we were able to do when we were like teenagers and whatnot. Like, what age?
Well, I will say it was late. Like, I want to say I was at Kristen's one time, because I was friends with Kristen, and the only reason I knew about it, I didn't know what the website was, but it was in a movie, poopshoots.com. So I was like, I want to know what that is. So I looked it up, and Kristen the next day was like, what is this website? Who went to this? And I was like, oh, it was from this movie. I didn't realize what it was. So that was, we were like 18.
Yeah, you were like 18?
Yeah. I didn't have a computer or anything like that when I was in high school. We didn't have one at home. And like the only computers that we had access to were from school or in the library.
Wow.
At the public library. So like we didn't have a computer that we could use to even type our assignments that we had to type out. Like, and for a long time, I was still having to submit my assignments handwritten, and like at one point my teacher was like, I can't accept handwritten assignments, they have to be typed.
Dang.
And I was like I don't have a way to type them at home. So I mean, I would either have to go to the library and type it, and in the library it's like you were only allowed to have like be on the computer for like 30 minutes and then you had to get off. And the school library, it wasn't open enough for me to go in, and the only time that I could go in and use it was during school hours where I had to be in class, and then there was no way to save it anywhere. I remember one time the public library had floppy disk drives, and then the school library got rid of the floppy disk drive because they got new computers and they didn't have them. So I had saved a bunch of stuff on a floppy disk drive and then went to school, and they were like, there's no way for you to access this here.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do then, because this is where my assignment is. So it was insane. So yeah, right. I mean, for me, growing up as poor as I was, we didn't have like access to computers and to the internet or anything like that until like I don't even know, like still my dad doesn't have internet at his house because he lives out in the sticks in Indiana. But until I got my own personal cell phone, I mean that's the only way I could look up internet pornography.
Dang.
What about you, Sarah?
I was 14, and it's actually a really funny story, but because I was extremely naive, and that's the reason that I
was
out. Okay, listen, rude. I mean, yes, you're correct, but rude. No, okay, so here's what happened. It was my first time like spending more than like 2 months in a public school setting, because my previous public school experience had been when I was like 10, and I was only in school for like maybe 3 months, maybe. So I was 14 and I was, experiencing puberty along with my classmates, except my classmates all knew way more about stuff than I did, because my parents never really talked about sex or anything.
No.
Because like we were super, super conservative. And so I remember one of my ex-friends had like made a comment about another ex-friend, saying, oh, you're, a dyke because you have short hair, blah, blah, blah. And, all lesbians have short hair. And so I'm 14. I'm very naive. And I'm like, all lesbians have short hair. And I'm like, okay, let me think about this logically, because I was a nerdy kid. I'm still a nerd. But I had read the entire encyclopedia. Like I knew like the basics of things, and so I was like, okay, well, my Aunt Janice is a lesbian and she has short hair. And I was just like, okay, well, there's a point in that direction. I was like, but my Aunt Becky is also a lesbian and she has long hair. And I'm like, okay, so is Aunt Becky an anomaly? I was like, or what do? So I go to the internet, because I was really lucky as a little kid. We because we were homeschooling, we were able to get a grant to be able to get a computer for schooling purposes. So I had my own computer in my own room because of that grant. And so I went to Ask Jeeves.
Ask Jeeves. Yes.
I went to Ask Jeeves and I said, do all lesbians have short hair? And Ask Jeeves brought up some not safe for work options. in the pictures. I love how you're typing this in right now. Anyway, so see, these are not even.
These are very wholesome answers.
These are very wholesome answers. These were not wholesome answers when I first started.
But I think people have to realize Ask Jeeves was like, that was probably before Google was a thing. Yeah, what you're doing.
Yeah, like I remember I used Ask Jeeves a lot before I started really using Google. Like Google was around, I know, but anyway, it was so funny, like, because then I was like, oh.
I mean, I will say I didn't have access to like internet stuff, but there was what are those books called? Or like the magazine? They're not magazine. They're kind of magazines.
Like Playboy and whatnot?
No, not Playboy, but it's like people write in their stories. What is that called?
I don't remember now, but I know what you're talking about.
Anyways, there was these like little magazines that people would write in their stories, and then they would also have like ads for like phone numbers that you could call. But there was this one that my dad had that in it there was and this is where I like started to realize, oh, maybe I do like guys. There was this one story about this guy that was driving home one day and he picked up a hitchhiker, and the hitchhiker, to thank him, gave him a blowjob.
Oh,
this male hitchhiker, to thank him, gave him a blowjob. And then it talked about how he was starting to question things. And I was like,
I too would question things. No, like finding lesbian porn definitely made me question things.
Well, that completely derailed the conversation.
Yes,
we were talking about smartwatches entering elementary school.
I know, and that was actually what brought it up for me, was thinking about like imagining, you know, the children today like experiencing life the way that we did.
Oh no, like you're seeing all of this stuff going on, like just this, and we're completely off topic, so we might not even get to any more trends. But just this last week, there were all like CEOs of tech companies and like social media platforms were in Washington, D.C. And I keep seeing this one where there's this ignorant senator that keeps asking this guy who is from Singapore if he's Chinese, if he is a member of the Chinese Communist Party.
Yes, I saw that.
If he was ever a member of the Chinese, and it's like, dude, how many times can this guy say, I'm Singaporean, I have nothing to do with the Chinese Communist Party?
Singapore and China are two different countries.
Yeah, and it's baffling to me. But then it was like, it goes to, why are we making, I don't understand why in one vein we can say, oh, I'm the child's parent, I should be able to tell you as the school what they can and cannot learn, what you can and cannot teach them. But it's not my responsibility to monitor what they're doing on Instagram, on TikTok, it's the government's responsibility to monitor what they're doing on these sites.
Right. And I'm just like, that makes no sense to me. I don't understand. Like, okay, I understand why my parents weren't watching what I was doing on the internet, because they were also brand new to the internet.
Yeah.
So like, you know, we were all brand new. We were all learning. And things were wild. And also I was actually a super trustworthy kid. So like my mom really had no reason not to allow me to have a computer in my room.
Yeah.
Especially when the majority of the time that I was using it, I was typing up one of my poems or stories and listening to music, because I have always been that person. But like, I don't know. It's fascinating to me that we still have that mentality, even though we know the dangers of the internet.
Yeah.
We're very familiar with the dangers of the internet.
And there's 100% ways that you can set up specific access on that profile for that child.
Exactly.
Are there ways for them to get around it? Yes, but that's why you as an adult should be able to monitor it and see, have like it send you a report out to your email. This is what they're looking at. This is what they've seen. And then like go from there. Like it's not for me, it's more important for the government to not really monitor, but I don't even know. Like it makes sense for not even the government, but like a school board that is made up of people that have gone to school for this to make up the curriculum that they want to teach the children.
Right.
Like, why are you as an adult trying to dictate what other people, because that's what you're doing. You're dictating not what your child sees, but what other people's children are seeing.
Correct. And it's just like, it's the problem is that even though we are the parents now, it's us, our generation, we're the parents. So like, we know that No Child Left Behind was detrimental. Like, we know that all these things that our parents were doing didn't work.
Yeah.
And yet we're still here doing the same things. And then instead of trying to make it better, we're actually making it worse. They're being like, no, you can't teach my kid that. But okay, but also you're not teaching your kid either. So like, who's supposed to teach your kid?
Right. I mean, I think of it as if you're keeping stuff that is happening every day in the world away from your child, what's going to happen once they get out in the real world and they see all these things that they didn't have exposure to because you did something to prevent them from seeing it that stunted their development to have like an immunity to that type of thing. Yeah. And it kind of brings up the thing that we see, and this is something completely opposite, but like the older generations where they're getting scammed because they get an email and it's like, your account was hacked, here, follow this link. And for us, we grew up partially, most of us, with the internet. We were exposed to it at a somewhat younger age.
Yeah. And
the newer generations, they've had the internet within the entire time. But that's why it is where older generations like boomers and some Gen Xers may fall victim to that because they don't know. They see an email and it's scary because someone's saying that their account was hacked or their account was breached. So they just assume, oh, I need to go in and fix it. One of the things that I was kind of freaking out about was the email that I got from the Link, LINQ, digital, the digital, what are they called? Link. What is it, Sarah? What is it? Business card. Thank you. You didn't even do anything, but thank you.
Like, you're welcome. I was here for moral support.
So I got that email and I was like, this can't be real. It's also sending it to the Yahoo account that I don't even have linked to any of my link account information. And then I was like, I went in and I was like, oh, I actually went to, when I got to my computer, my Mac, I went to that Link app affiliate program site and looked at it and I was like, oh, it was real. So then I had to go back into my Yahoo account, find the email, and then make it to where I can move it from, because it goes to a PayPal account. And I was like, I don't even use my PayPal ever. So I freaked out for a second, but I was like, this is trash, or it's not trash, but it's like spam. They're trying to get me to click on it and steal my data because it took me to the sign in page. And I was like, damn it. Mm-hmm. But then I found out it wasn't fake.
which is great. But like, no, I also panic like that. Like, oh my God, what is happening?
Like how we just went on a major tangent about the internet because of one small portion of this story where it's talking about
portion of this story. And it just kicked off the ADHD. This is just where we're at right now.
No.
I don't know. I don't care, to be honest, about like any of these, whether or not any of these things are going to be trends in 2024, like, because the only trends I want to see, okay, manicures for boys, I do want to see, yes. I do want to see more of that. And I'm always down for a good chocolate lava, like, yes. But like, I would like to see a trend of people being more accepting of other people, a trend of our
Right.
government staying the fuck out of our personal business, a trend of, you know, people just being able to live their lives as long as they're not, you know, being cruel to somebody else. And I would also like the genocide in Gaza to end. Those are the things that I want to see trending. So, personally speaking.
Yeah. I mean, I think that makes sense, and I agree. I don't understand why anybody is in someone else's business still, like in 2024. Why
Right?
are you trying to dictate what I can do with my personal life, with my body, with my stuff? So it's baffling to me. I don't know what the hell's going on with this website, but it's freaking out.
I was like, what is happening? You're very, very serious right now, scrolling up and down like that.
I don't know what is going on. This website is freaking out. But anyways, it's insane to me that someone, like, why is gay marriage still an issue in 2024? That doesn't make any sense to me. What is it doing to you that I want to get married to someone that is the same gender as me?
I mean, what is
It's-
abortion doing? Like,
Yeah. Like, none of these things are taking away from you or impacting your personal life. If it is, then that's a conversation you need to have with yourself or the person that is involved.
Right.
It has nothing, me getting married to someone that is of the same gender as me, or me saying, I wouldn't say this, but me saying that I'm a female. Like, that has no bearing on what you do. So it doesn't make any sense that that's something that people are still struggling with to understand. Oh, something that someone else is doing with their life has nothing to do with what I'm doing.
right? I don't know. I don't understand that either. I was actually, it's so funny that you mentioned that, because I literally was ranting with my Lyft driver the other day about how I don't understand why things are the way that they are. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, I don't understand Christians who preach, like, you know, anti-LGBTQ plus, but then don't follow any of the other parts. And
Yeah.
like I don't understand Christians who worship capitalism, because I'm just like, Christ literally went into the temple and overturned the tables of the moneylenders and like whipped people out of there, like violently overthrew the stuff that was happening in, you know, in the temple. And I'm just like, I don't understand. Money is the root of all evil, and yet here we are, like, all of us dying because of money, because the government wants so much money and they want so much power and all this other stuff, and it just, like, what the fuck? Why I don't understand. It makes literally no sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't think I understand why it's my business what anyone else does with their life. If you want to follow a specific rule or guideline that says you can act a certain way, you can do certain things, and that's how you want to follow your life, cool, that's fine. That has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
I try not to influence other people in a specific way, because it's none of my business how you live your life, just like it's none of your business how I live my life, unless it's causing a danger to other people.
Yeah.
To other people that didn't give consent, I guess I should say.
Yes. Other people are getting hurt consentingly is different.
Yeah. But it's just, yeah, I mean, I don't understand, and I've said it, we both kind of said it here. It's like, I don't understand, it just doesn't make sense. Why is it still a thing? Why is it still an issue? Why do you care what other people do? You should be focusing on you. That should be your most important, you and your family should be your most important focus right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it shouldn't be what someone else is doing in their personal life that should influence how you react or do something.
Exactly. Just ugh.
Well, I will include the rest of these trends links that I have that we aren't going to go over, because now we're almost an hour in. but when I edit it down, it'll be less than an hour, so it won't be crazy. But do you have anything going on this weekend other than work?
No, not really. Well, Monday is Kat's birthday. So we're having a dinner for her. But other than that, not a whole heck of a lot. Gotta catch up on school.
No. I need to reach out, but I'm looking at going back to school.
Ooh, what you gonna go for this time?
To get a second master's degree.
In
It was corporate training and communication.
Nice.
So I do need to reach out and talk to an advisor and see if some of the classes that I've already taken will transfer over and make it so that I don't have to take the classes again, because I don't want to. Although they're not the same course number, they're the same, like it sounds like they're the same content. I'm wondering if it will make it to where I don't have to take it. And just looking at the curriculum included online, I don't know if it's been like, if it hasn't been updated or if this is what it is now, but each class is 3 credit hours instead of 5, like the ones were with my last degree. And it's 2 classes for 8 weeks. Whereas my last degree, it was 1 class for 6 weeks, and every 6 weeks you switched to a new class. And then after 2 classes, you had a week in between. So I don't know. I do need to figure that out. And then I might look into doing that for starting like maybe April. So we'll see.
It'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, good luck.
We will see. I'm excited about it, but also I don't know, because I don't want to add too much stuff to myself.
Right.
There's a lot going on at work that I have to do, and there's not a lot going on outside of work, but there's a lot going on at work that I have to do.
Right, obviously.
And I will say something really funny happened this week, and it was it was really touching. We were doing it's called a go-see, where you like go and watch a process and then like talk about how it can be improved, or some issues that were highlighted during the go-see. And I came back and I sit, so my desk, it's my supervisor's behind me to the right if I'm looking straight, or if I'm looking toward them. They're behind me to the left. And then beside her, it's the 2 distribution managers. So they're like the supervisors.
Okay.
And I looked at them and I was like, I'm about to wreck your world. And one of them goes, "Are you leaving? Are you going to tell us you're leaving?" I was like, "No, but that makes me feel so good that you think that would wreck your world if I left."
No kidding. That's a great compliment.
Yeah. So it was nice to hear. But I was like, no, you guys are using training documents that people are training to documents that are not actual document training that are not actual trainable documents. So I'm like, we're going to have to do a lot of documentation updates.
Oh no.
So that's fun.
Sounds like it.
And then tomorrow we're going to go to thanks for asking what we're doing this weekend, Sarah.
I was going to, but every time I tried to, you were still talking.
Tomorrow, like I said, Ryan and I are going to go to Cape Cod, or around Cape Cod. And we might even go to Provincetown.
Nice.
Provincetown. But we'll see how long. We're planning on leaving around 10. And then stopping for lunch somewhere, not quite to Provincetown, but then go from there if we want to go further, if we just want to like drive around in that area. So we will see. That's planned for tomorrow.
Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah. Well, you want to call it a podcast since it's been about an hour?
Yeah, I think we'll call it a podcast.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to this week's episode of Now About That with James and Sarah. If you like this episode, please give us a like, a comment, and don't forget to follow or subscribe. If you would, leave a review in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen, as this will help get the podcast out to more people and help us grow. Feel free to follow us on our social media. If you search for it and it's at Now About That Pod and we're not there, then we are not on that platform. If there is something specific you would like us to discuss on the podcast, feel free to email us at nowaboutthatpod@gmail.com. Visit our website, www.nowaboutthatproductions.com, or you can also send us a text message or leave us a voicemail. The phone number is 765-557-4170. Again, thanks for listening, and we hope you have a great week since this will be coming out on Monday. And Sarah, enjoy your weekend.
You as well. Enjoy Cape Cod.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.